Except.
However,
everything seems. Do you guys look?
But anyway, we went and did that. We talked about a couple topics that we can talk about here as well. So
cool.
Nice.
Fallon, how are you? We can't hear you. Here, I thought it was just because Robert was taking all the words.
As usual, you mean?
Yes.
There we go.
We can hear you now.
That's funny.
Great way to start, too.
Yeah, that was comedic.
yeah, But anyway, we went. And
I
did
try,
that.
you know. I've been, as
talked
Robert
about
said,
a couple topics that
I
we
was
can
on
talk
stage
about
with him
here as well,
yesterday,
so.
so I've had my
Cool,
weekly
nice.
practice of
Valid, how are you?
working with Robert.
We can't
I'm
hear
going
you.
to be monitoring Valen's responses
Here I
and
thought it
see
was
if
just
I
because Robert
if her
was
position has
taking all the
changed after
words.
my
As
position.
usual,
If I
you mean?
convinced her or
Yes.
swayed her at all on these topics.
We can hear you now. Or if you've pushed her further away.
Yeah, probably.
Great way to
Exactly.
start
That's
today.
also
Yeah, that
where
was-
she's doubled down on some of her positions. You know. We went
I
and did that.
try, you know. I've been,
So
as
this is
Robert
great,
said,
Robert.
I
You
was-
put
I
together
was
a
on
really
stage with him yesterday,
interesting
so I've had my
collection of
weekly
topics
practice of
today.
Every
You're-
once in a
working with
while,
Val.
I'm going to be
get something
monitoring
like that
Valen's
accomplished.
responses.
You're obviously
After
nerdy
if I
excited about the
convinced
Morgan
her.
Stanley report of Amazon's ability to move into travel
Yeah, probably.
because that
Exactly.
was
That's also where she's doubled
three-quarters
down.
of the
flagged
word
that as-
count.
I try,
Well,
you know. I've
it's
been-
So this
not
is great,
publicly
Robert. You
really
put together
accessible,
a
so I
really
wound up
interesting
giving
collection
people
of topics today.
the ability to
Uh,
look
you're-
at
once
in a while I can happen to say.
I'm going to be
I'll see if I can
monitoring
get it
Valen's
posted.
You're obviously
Well,
nerdy
maybe not.
excited about
We'll
the
see.
Morgan Stanley.
But
Morgan Stanley,
no,
let's make it easy. Morgan Stanley
Yeah.
basically came out and said it would be incredibly cheap and just slightly time consuming for Amazon to come into
Well,
travel
it's not
and
publicly
become a major player very quickly and very profitable.
happen to say.
I'll
see if I can get it.
Did I
And
miss
basically
anything?
do
Obviously nerdy
basically
excited
do
about the
in
Morgan
travel what
Stanley,
they're doing in
Morgan
groceries.
Stanley, let's make it easy. Yeah, I came out. I think time consuming for Amazon to come into travel. There's some strong potential there that they could. One of the things that I think is interesting, though, to point out is I think they overly focused on, maybe it's just to be cheeky, or I don't know if Robert, if you did this, but the Alexa, the voice
I'll see if I
side
can
of it.
get
Did I
And
miss
basically
what I think is actually interesting about Amazon
Yeah,
is that came out ability to enter travel in an aggressive way is unlike Google, who has to navigate some tough positions. Because Google makes a lot of money in travel today. However, a lot of that money in travel is from two companies. Robert, if you did this, I think is actually interesting about Amazon in particular, that if Google disrupts them too quickly, they can actually put a substantial damper on the company's overall revenue, because a large, because Google makes a large amount of it comes from those two companies, where Amazon doesn't have that problem. And so that's where I think Amazon's opportunity is interesting, is they can just come in with a sledge thing about Amazon in particular, and with the money and them too quickly, the technology that they have available, plus can actually the heart of the consumer substantial revenue because they already have. Yeah, I mean, they could walk in and take a very large position. Because Google makes a large amount of it comes from the industry.
Yep, and searching for travel by voice is so intuitive, right? I mean, we had this conversation
Technology that they
yesterday.
have.
I want to go to a beach in Florida on the Gulf
Available, plus can actually the heart of
Coast
the
in May.
consumer.
What are my options?
Yep.
Right, and there they are. Google talks or Alexa talks right back
Substantial revenue comes from the industry.
to you.
Yep, and searching
And that
for
is so
travel
intuitive. Much more intuitive in Florida on the Gulf
Available, plus can actually the heart of
Coast
the
in May.
consumer.
Then navigating a search results page,
Yep.
right? And there they are. Google talks page full of retargeting ads and links. To you.
Yep, and searching
And that
for
is so
travel
intuitive.
And we've talked about this
Much more intuitive.
at length, that this drives the available, plus the importance of your content, because that's where the input is going to come from, is your content game. being able to answer questions that
In Florida, on the Gulf
available, plus can actually the
Coast
people are
in
asking.
May.
So you
What
need
am I
to
on?
know what people are asking, and
Right,
you need
and
to have
there
content
they
out
are,
there that answers it.
Google Talks or Alexa
Lauren,
back to you. And search
you were going to say
so
something,
easy.
or were you yawning? Did I bore you?
No, not yawning. I just,
much more intuitive.
no, I had the privilege of speaking to a group of people in DC recently. I won't mention directly again who, because it's not a fair sample to say the reaction I got, because it's not their skill set or wheelhouse to know this stuff. But I just asked a simple question after we talked about voice search. I said, so you see the importance of it, you see the scale of it, you see how it can really affect your business, and they're all nodding their heads. Can anybody tell me how they even know how to get into that space? Blank stares. You know, and it's indicative.
Well,
I think
to be
that
fair, wait, Lauren. To be fair, the first time they had heard of voice search was when you brought it up.
Right.
So I mean, to be fair, of course they're not going to know how to
Now,
do
maybe
it.
that's true. Maybe that's true. But the idea of it is that, and it's not a fair sample set of who was in the audience to say that they should know this. But if people are realizing the impact, because obviously we look at the world from the filters of our own jobs and what we are interested in, what we work in the space of, that people are seeing this on the horizon. I mean, they're seeing the value proposition of what this is, but they're not connecting what it means to them in their business as early as they possibly could by saying, you know, maybe we should go to my boss and say, what are we doing about this? Because if I'm using it more, maybe other people are using it more. What are we doing to make sure we're using it more?
Well,
just little simple kind of common things like that.
They had you out speaking to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I'm
yes.
hoping you
and well, they did the silly thing. They actually paid me to talk. That's the even scarier part. People paying me to talk. My wife pays me to be quiet. So yeah.
and I think we need to be careful, right? Because I think voice could be the end game, and obviously they have a big advantage. But if we look at the reality of the data today, that's not how people are searching for travel today, and it's certainly not how they're consuming anything today in majority. Because you can order pizza on Alexa, you don't, right? You use the app. You can order an Uber on Alexa. The majority of people don't. They go to their phone to do it, right? So I don't think people immediately, because Amazon gets in travel, are going to jump to using Alexa to order a vacation, because it's infinitely more complicated to book a hotel room in a destination in the right place with the right amenities at the right price. And it is to order the pizza with the right toppings, right? So we're projecting down the line, but I don't think that
we're projecting quite a bit
right now.
But today, Amazon doesn't need to get into the voice side of travel to be successful. They need the market share, right? They need the eyeballs, which they already have. But having said that, they've also tried to get in other spaces unsuccessfully for a long time.
Including travel.
Including travel.
Including the phone market, right?
Yep.
And it wasn't until they've acquired a grocery store that they've started really making inroads with food delivery and things like that. So they failed multiple times at travel. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if they went out and acquired someone that was strategically advantageous to them in the travel space.
Right. Well, they failed multiple times in food, right? So it took them several starts and restarts to get where they are today. My expectation is, I mean, and they've done that in travel. To your point, they failed several times. That's one of the things that's interesting about Amazon is they'll do something and it won't work, and they'll retreat and figure out another thing to do, and they'll just
Learn,
keep
yeah.
going.
Yep. They learn.
Keep learning and optimizing. Yep.
Right. Right, and they're
Yeah.
unafraid. They're unafraid to do that. They don't.
But
Right.
going
Right.
back,
So,
back to
well,
the
wait,
voice.
hang on. We should go. Let's go after what those failures, though. Before we move on, one was the first round one, I believe, was they partnered with Expedia. Right. That didn't work. They didn't have the margins. They didn't have control. Just failure. A second time they partnered with Overstock.com because they were trying to get differentiated inventory. That didn't work. They didn't have enough breadth of product, that sort of thing. They did another one in the 2008ish. I don't even remember. It wasn't around long. They may have tried to do something themselves, but then they also tried the local, kind of these local vacations type things, most recently, which again, I think they ran into a long sales cycle of trying to hit these individual hotels. They didn't have technological connections to get inventory and rates effectively, and they killed that within 6 months, which again, a really smart move. They recognize this isn't working. The margins aren't there. Kill it. So, but they probably learned, they learned a valuable lesson. That's not the way to go.
Right.
So I think it'll be interesting. I think they can come out. They have two things that we haven't mentioned. One is 90 million Prime subscribers who love Prime and love Amazon and are now going to Whole Foods to get their groceries. So all these hotel groups and OTAs who kind of engage with guests 4 times a year, twice a year, whenever they think of them whenever they have to travel. Amazon's got them every day, in some cases multiple times a day, and every time they talk to Alexa, right?
But here's the thing: you just hit it. You want to know how Amazon can just take travel, like with the just get the consumer. If your Prime membership covers your airline fees,
Right.
Yeah.
Like I just got an Amazon.
Your airline fees?
Right. I just got an Amazon card because I get 5% off at Whole Foods. Right. So it's that same sort of affinity that they'll bring in. That they will. And
they'll get you to change your behavior to save the money. Like that's it. And
and once they're hooked on Prime, people will filter by Prime and pay a premium. They go, oh, it's $2 more, $5 more, or whatever. It may arrive in approximately the same time, whatever it is. matter. They just go, yeah, it's Prime. They're conditioned, and it works, and they love it. Right? Net Promoter Score for Prime is like off the charts. The other thing is they have a very strong recommendation engine that is filled with every lifestyle sort of the literature you read, the movies you watch, the food you eat. Yeah. All of that pretty powerful. So when you're trying to come down to a recommendation,
some would say they're primed to enter the market.
Oh my lord! I'm
no, only you would say
right there.
So going back,
where's the mute?
so going back to Stuart's comment about searching by voice. No, they have that. Is it Amazon that has the, or is it Google that has the voice search with the screen on it?
Alexa. The Amazon the Echo Show is what it is.
I agree with Stuart. We're not there yet for searching for travel by voice, but you know, it was only a couple of years ago when people weren't searching for travel on their mobile device either. So you know, the horizons get closer and closer in as the technology evolves. But where I think the value proposition comes in is in that show, right? So show me, I want to go to Florida. I want to go to Gulf Coast. I want to go to Cedar Key in May. What's the weather like in May in Cedar Key? Right. Show me pictures. And that, I mean, that's voice and immediate response. I don't have to click. I don't have to sort through images.
Right.
It's right
and that's
there.
the key, actually, because, I mean, here's the thing. Visually, the human species has gained IQ. However, communication has fallen. If you look at all the studies on how we're doing as a species and our ability to survive and communicate, we've gotten smarter in our visual IQ and have fallen back quite a bit on our
You
ability.
mean emojis haven't helped us communicate more effectively?
Hey, hieroglyphics worked for the Egyptians.
That's exactly right.
They work for us.
That's right. And the aliens taught the Egyptians. So.
But that's a real hurdle. It's a real hurdle to the voice control. Adoption is and how it will be used is going to be really difficult to get your mind around, because it's probably not what we think, because we're thinking about how would you ask these questions and, you know, all of that, but I don't think the average person is going to ask the same questions that this audience or, you know, this group would be asking.
Right.
But part of the visual side is also trust, right? And so
Yep.
the visuals imply, I want to see it. And if you implicitly trust Amazon, because now they have Amazon Basics, and if you ask Alexa for batteries, they don't really, propose Duracell and Everready. They go, hey, we got some basics. Like, fine.
Yeah,
That's good.
Okay, so
Stuff for me. And if
over
those
a
are
beer
good, you
conversation-
have enough experience when you
over a
trust
beer
it.
conversation.
That's okay.
Okay, over a beer conversation over Tuesday night, I had a fun conversation about Alexa talking back.
Mhm.
Like, wonder if you allowed where you would say, I'm willing to have announcements or things that I thought of particular interest, where Alexa would talk back to me, and Alexa can talk to my TV. Bless you. And so if you say, let's put this in the travel space for a second, I'm wanting to think about going to a trip to New York for XY dates or whatever it is, and it knows, like you said, a lot about my preferences and things and so forth. So then I'm at home and Alexa says, Lauren, I found something for you at New York that you were interested in, and turns on the TV and shows what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Like that's probably
Sure, that'd be
what's
crazy.
going to
I mean,
happen.
it's all by art.
Like that's pretty much probably what it's going to be. Here's where it gets interesting and where it gets dangerous is when and now I'm going way future, is when the AI is strong enough to do a Q&A session to figure out exactly what you're looking for. So when you can say, Alexa, I want to go to a beach. When do you want to go? I want to go on this date. Who are you traveling with? Oh, I'm going to be with my wife and kids. Okay, well, based on that, what kind of travel experience are you looking for? And being able to do that, that's the problem that will really mess up the OTA model. It will mess up Airbnb. It will mess up anyone who basically does that job today. AI will disrupt that. And the problem, the reason I think it will disrupt the OTAs, and I'm very rare do you ever hear me say, I think something will disrupt the OTAs, is because Google and Amazon and Apple own the last mile, and they're the ones who can actually can cut off that service and bring it in a better way to the traveler.
Well, and Google.
So Rich has asked
Google,
us not to mention Alexa anymore. We can't say the word Alexa anymore. It's driving Rich's,
Alexa,
Alexa nuts.
Alexa. Goes off
Alexa,
every time we say
buy-
Alexa.
Alexa,
I mean, if
buy-
we're saying "Hey Siri" as well, and
I
hey,
should not
Google.
have done that.
And
Rich, I'm
Siri.
sorry. I'm sorry that I told him not.
Okay, Google. Hey Siri, Alexa. We just made everything.
But I think
Oh yeah, you
Google.
made my
I
Siri kick off. Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome.
think
Buy
Google,
everything.
I think Google. Yeah. Google has. Well, the standing joke is that's how Amazon bought Whole Foods.
Right.
Jeff Bezos accidentally wanted to buy something at Whole Foods, and,
Buy
and
stock in
Alexa
Whole
got
Foods,
mixed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to buy some
I
like
hope.
chicken stock, and it didn't
Yeah.
catch the chicken part. So,
That's fine.
but
Richard hates all of us.
but I'm going to say Google, the one who I think it comes down to a battle between Google and Amazon. I mean, maybe Apple makes a comeback. Apple.
I was going to say, don't count them out. They own
No, I
a
wouldn't.
large ecosystem.
Mhm.
Yeah, but they
Yeah,
really
I
have to
wouldn't
get
count
their
them out,
hardware
but-
house in order. I mean, they're just so far behind on the sort of the home hardware pieces. Like,
And the home's expensive.
But hey, that
Yeah.
is normal Apple. That's
Oh,
modern
it
Apple.
is.
right, that's
Modern
true.
Apple does not step first into a space. It pays attention, it waits for something to mature, and then it comes and destroys everyone who's operating in it. Look at the
Right.
smartwatch.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? I mean, really, who would have thought that the Apple Watch would just instantly step in and get rid of some really good companies' market?
It wasn't
Right.
instant though. It took a couple of years to get traction. They
Yeah,
they missed their
versus
sales goals.
It took a couple of years to
Yeah.
destroy an entire part of the economy. That's quick.
Well, no,
And
back
when you
up.
have $600 million
The watch
or
economy was
billion dollar
destroyed by
market
the
cap.
phone, right? The phone destroyed the watch economy. It wasn't the smartwatch that destroyed the watch
Well, to
economy.
be fair, video killed the radio star. So that's what it sounds like.
Now,
Funny.
back to
And Ed wasn't even alive when he doesn't even remember that as the first
First MTV.
first video on MTV.
I want my MTV video. Yeah. All right. Mr. Roberts,
So-
since you were the one.
Oh no, I was going to say on Google though, the one advantage Google has is Android, because Android with location tracking and all that, I mean, knows everywhere you've been, and Google Assistant is with you all the time, right? It's universal, right? And it's reading your Gmail and figuring things out. That is something where Amazon doesn't have that breadth at this point, and that's a lot of information.
Right.
So that'll be interesting to see what. How Google battles it out. But again, Apple doesn't have the shopping vertical that Amazon has. It doesn't really have the map